the government. So the government involvement in transport and logistics industry ini is necessary. Perlu government. One is to identify the transport and logistics related project that is good for the company, that support the economy and well-being of the country. So as a government, they have to identify. Kenal pasti. Which transport and logistics sector which need our priority ke. Macam port for example. Dulu we relied on the Singapore port. Most of our import and export we use Singapore port. Now we lost in terms of the currency exchange a lot of money that went to Singapore punya ni. So then we improved starting from 1980 onwards we improved through the privatization because we know that this port ni is good for the country punya economy punya prosperity. So we have to identify what we need to do dan kemudian was we identify we need to build a new the new highway connecting the north and the south punya ni state ni. So they build the project Lebuh Raya Utara Selatan, the North South Highway, the Plus Highway tu. So we have to identify what are the transport project that will support our economy ni. Kalau dulu lah kita tak buat apa-apa, we don't have the Tanjung Pelepas Port, we don't have the the Westport for example. Saya tak buat ni kita tak ada apa tak nak. Kita tak ada apa ni kita tak ada Tanjung Pelepas punya port, we don't have the Westport for example, we just kata rely di Port Klang ni, the North and South Port as the main port, that is not adequate. We will look out to Singapore for example. So we have to spend, we have to build a new port dan sebagainya. That is one, is to identify. And number two is to plan what to do. To plan, okay, we need to have more port. Ataupun now we rely on the just Subang Airport because the Subang Airport have already reached the capacity for few years, for example. We need to build another one. Dulu kita buat Subang Airport, then the expansion is to build the Terminal 2, Terminal 3. Then government decided, it already reached the capacity, so we build a new one dekat Sepang sana. They identify dia ada tanah dekat sana that is suitable for the airport punya ni. So they build to plan and they implement that the identified project and ensure that the project are completed within stipulated time. Because it's very important. We have to plan when the project have to start and when project have to finish. If not, katalah we finish late, suppose finish by 2020, the year 20, but now it's still under construction, for example, that we set a new target, it will finish within the next 2 years. The impact it will involve cost. Our project ni will incur the cost overrun. For example, dulu masa kita buat LRT, the cost we estimated that the cost to build the LRT, the driverless system tu, it was known as a Putra LRT dulu. Forecast is only 4.8 billion, 4.8 billion ringgit. We want and it must start operation by the date dan sebagainya. So you have to finish the construction by certain the specific time tu. Kalau kita lewat, for example, by another month, by another year, so we will incur additional cost, and it will not good for the country and for that project also. So to arrange and to provide financial support for the project. So to plan is easy, to implement is quite hard because you have implementation tu. You have to have the enough funding, jumlah wang yang mencukupi. enough funding for the project. Kalau kita nak buat projek, where to get this fund, for example, the loan, for example, nak dapat daripada mana? Okay, normally satu bank dia tak akan bagi semua. Kalau the project is 40 billion, they will not give you all 40 billion to you. Now we have to get from various various institution. From the bank, ada bank mana, ada seorang dia bagi sikit, and what is the interest rate dan sebagainya. So this is very important because cakap mudah tapi nak implement without the fund quite difficult to start the project, to run the project, to complete the project dan sebagainya. Kita kena tengok berapa banyak minta bantuan ramai kata we can give you bank pembangunan, for example, can give you few hundred million, another bank few hundred million, another bank few hundred million, or you have to issue bond to raise your fund dan sebagainya. So there are many financial punya instrument that you have to use in order to get money ni. Dia kalau katalah satu bank bagi 450 billion, kalau anything happen, the company cannot repay, the bank will collapse. That's why dia kena spread dia punya risk tu. Kena dia takkan bagi semua punya. So yang ni penting macam dulu government they don't have the money. Dulu ni kalau kita fikir sebelum tahun 80-an ni, all things all development, all infrastructure development were constructed by the government, government staff through the JKR, Jabatan Kerja Raya, the Work Ministry. JKR tu dulu they have stream rule yang ni dia perbuat jalan, dia perbuat bangunan, they build the bridges and so on. They have all the equipment. Later government through the privatization punya program persatuan, they give to the private party to construct. Government dia adalah banyak dia punya cara, there are many ways of privatization ni. Macam projek Lebuh Raya Utara Selatan umpamanya. The project cost more than 800 million ringgit at that time million ringgit masa tu. Kira murah lah compare with the present time ni. So government give to another party. So another company they form at that time I think UEM or Renong Group they form another party, what we call it Projek Lebuh Raya Utara Selatan plus Sdn Bhd. And they build this project ni. It takes how many years? So saya tak ingat. So the fund the company have to find. So the government allow the company to operate. The government after the project complete, so they allow the company to operate for the number of years in order for the company get back their investment with the profit yang ada. So government allow through the macam plus punya, there are many other privatization program that run macam tu. They use that type of what they call it dia punya kita tengok yang tu. Kemudian the last one is to protect the people against the potential discriminatory practices of the private. So the government involvement in the transport sector ni, why? Because they want to protect. They protect the people, their people ni, the rakyat ni, in case katalah if we allow for the company to atau kita bagi the company itu to increase the fare, it's up to the company to increase, to determine the fare of their service ni. So probably most probably government punya thinking lah. Some during the peak season, contohnya during hari raya, during the school holiday, this company will increase the fare. It's not good for the travelling public ni. Contoh, because it is normally the public transport dulu lah, it was used by the orang biasa, ordinary people ni. So that is their punya aim, government punya aim ni kata. So we need to still to involve in transport sector ni, because why? Because we want to protect the rakyat. Contoh, contoh dia. Kemudian government tak nampak the government to certain extent excessive interference, terlebih sangat campur tangan of the government by the government could hinder the progress of the transport and logistics, will make the industry ineffective and inefficient. So too much interference for the government. Nak buat ini, government have to decide everything, government have decide everything, have government control everything. So there are views said that, so if we allow government to interfere, too much interference, now it will make the industry unattractive. Tak attractive, inefficient, tak good. So the issue sekarang ni, how to balance, bagaimana kita nak balance ni, how to balance between the government intervention and market determination. Kita nak balance kan, kita nak seimbangkan antara campur tangan government and market determination. Penentuan by pasaran ni. Penentuan pasaran ni macam ni lah, macam contohnya, kalau lah sekarang ni saya contoh just example, sekarang ni tambang bas dikawal oleh kerajaan. Katalah sekarang ni tambang bas kami sendiri tentukan. So ada daripada Changlu ada 5, nak pergi KL ada 5 syarikat. So tiap-tiap syarikat ni depa berhak putuskan depa punya, they can decide on their own punya fare. Berapa they want to charge to the customer. So it's up to the market lah. Kata if they charge higher, so the customer will go to their competitors dan sebagainya. So that is a market. Market play their role. So what is dia punya the best is determined by the passenger lah. So the market determine. Satu, kita nak allow for government punya to intervene. Satu lagi, kita nak allow for the government market punya to determine. So which one? How to balance between these two? So the society, masyarakat ni, the community, kita punya rakyat ni can gain benefit and better benefit dan sebagainya. Dulu katalah, dulu syarikat penerbangan dulu mas daripada Alostar to KL RM140. Dulu it was 25-30 years back, RM140. Kemudian Air Asia come in juga dengan Malindo dan juga dengan Firefly dengan mas lebih kurang lah. So tiket kapal terbang masih lagi bila masuk ya KL Air Asia offer a lowest punya cost lowest punya fare dapatlah dalam kadang-kadang RM20, RM30, RM50 dululah. Kemudian ada yang RM10, Malindo pernah offer dan sebagainya. So that is dia punya ni. So by having the operator to decide by themselves, bukan saja kadang-kadang kita ingat harga naik, but no, harga ni semakin turun dan sebagainya. So how to balance between these two ni? Macam mana kita nak balance yang benda-benda dalam ni, dua-dua benda ni. Nak bagi government government tak intervene pun tak boleh, kita kata. Market terlebih sangat pun tak boleh. So macam mana kita nak balance? So satu cara government control the industry. One of the many ways the government control the industry is through the quantity licensing. Quantity, maksudnya government decide on the quantity, number of operator can be in the certain punya industry in the market. For example, for the bus industry, for Alostar to KL only 5. Government decide. That is the fare government decide. Through this, dia kata transportation industry can be regulated by granting or denying them a license. Maksud dia regulate, dia control by dengan memberi atau tak memberi mereka license, which gives them authority to operate. Ingat sebab without this license, kita panggil permit kat sini ni, we cannot operate the transportation services. Syarikat Mutiara ke, Pancaran Matahari ke, Transnational ke, they have to have the license from the government. Without license, they cannot operate. Di Malaysia lah, di Malaysia they cannot operate. Kalaulah saya ada duit umpamanya kaya, dan saya ada pengalaman untuk urus tahu benda ni. Saya kata saya nak buat syarikat pengangkutan saya sendiri, syarikat bas saya sendiri. Nama dia BPMG 2013 contoh. So tak boleh because I have to get license from the government. Saya kena dapat license yang kita panggil permit ni. License bukanlah maksud dia license license driving license tu, tak. Ni sebenarnya license. Lesen yang boleh kita masuk operate kan syarikat syarikat container haulage ke, syarikat bas ke, teksi ke. Kalau kita ada kereta sendiri, kita tak boleh buat teksi lah. Kita kena pergi apply permit dekat government kata okey bagi permit. Kita boleh operate. Kita jangan ingat kita ada kereta, we can operate as we wish. Tak boleh. Except for now, ada new technology, ada e-hailing punya services. Tu pun government dah dah dulu dia open sangat, tapi sekarang government kata all the driver or e-hailing punya driver need to go for medical check, dapatkan PSV dan sebagainya. Sebab dulu teksi ke apa kena pergi medical check, kalau bawa kena awam, you have to go for the medical check, medical check up. Nak tengok dia ni mental dia okey ke tak okey, sebab you have to deal with passenger ni, another human ni. You bawa macam mana, you ada record apa, ada kesalahan apa ke, you check, they check before they issue the PSV ni. Dalam Malaysia. Sekarang ni e-hailing punya ni pun, Grab ke apa ke, they have to follow the same punya ni. They have to go for the medical check-up ni. Bagus juga lah medical check-up ni. Kot-kot ada yang tak layak bawa, dia boleh bawa dan sebagainya. So, quantity licensing regulate, dia control the supply of the transport. Supply of the transport. Maksud supply ni jumlah penawaran lah. Kalau bukan jumlah permintaan, jumlah penawaran. Di supply, okay, this is only the number. Dulu container haulage punya ni ada 5, but now there are hundreds. Government issue more license. So that is the way government control. Government kata, okay, even airline pun, kalau kita nak operate, we have to get license from the government. Kita tak boleh simply buka syarikat Air Asia. Sekarang kita nak buat air ke apa dan sebagainya. Tak boleh. So kita ni. So, quantity licensing, they can limit the number of operator permitted in the market. Control the price charged to the customer. Control the price ni refer to the fare. Determine the frequency. Even government determine the frequency. Kota Baru ke KL, only 8 services a day. Saya involved dengan ni sebab saya tahulah benda ni. Sebab dulu government, when they issue a permit, dia akan ni. Dalam bas pula kena apa, display permit tu dan sebagainya. Kalau dia buat inspection tak ada, kena saman dan sebagainya. So this is the way government control. Dia kata in some country, quantity license be abandoned, dia tak tetap lah kat US dan sebagainya in favor of a deregulated or liberalized market. Liberalized, they deregulate and liberalize the market. So we have many economy system in some country they practice this one. The US they claim they practice free market. In other part of the world, in communist country dulu ni they have a plan of command economy, and macam Malaysia we have a mixed economy. Mixed economy, government decide, and at the same time they also allow for the market to decide. So they have the mix punya. Kita transport operated or owned bus umpamanya by the private sector, but government they control the quantity, fare dan sebagainya. So it's become a mix juga, bukan 100% free market or controlled by the government. So deregulation ni is a process of removing. Regulate dia buat, tapi yang ni remove. Kita removing or reducing government regulation. Deregulation maksudnya proses menghapuskan ataupun mengurangkan government intervention through kurangkan dia punya regulation on a particular industry. Macam kita logistik, transport logistik lah. Government they control the fare. Tambang teksi tak boleh naik sesuka hati Tambang kereta api you cannot increase as you wish. Tambang bas tak boleh sebab is controlled by these are controlled by the government. The route, laluan mana nak ikut bukan boleh kata pancaran matahari. Dia dapat Kanga ke Kota Baru umpama contoh, Kanga ke KL umpamanya. Mungkin dia tak dapat Kanga ke Rembau, Kanga ke Morib ke, Kanga ke Johor Bahru contoh, dia tak dapat. So dia tak boleh dia kata dia ada bas dia operate satu Malaysia. No, because it is controlled, it is determined by the government, and the way the industry must operate normally with reason to protect Selalunya government dia buat sini, dia kata kita nak protect customer, kita nak passenger. Tidak. Bagi kat kami ni bukan depa. Normally depa alasannya nak protect customer and for the safety and also for the environment. Ingatlah, excessive control, terlebih sangat regulation, it's not good for the industry. That's why in the US dulu taman kapal terbang, laluan mana nak pergi, it was controlled by the government. But they deregulate through the Airline Deregulation Act 1978. So no more control by the government on the fare. Government tak control lagi dah. Taman kapal terbang ni berapa nak charge. Laluan mana ikut suka. And the market entry of the new airline. Kalau lah you have more money, you see the potential of the airline punya business ni, you want to join, so you are welcome to join. So tak payah nak kena tunjuk ni, banyak proses, banyak birokrasi. No. So this one through the airline deregulation. They have the Airline Deregulation Act 1978. So everyone, kalau ada duit ke, kata kita ada duit, you want to open up a new business, a new airline company in the US, you can go ke sana. Tak nak, ada call siap. Hello, ada kelas awak dapat lah. Awak buat apa? Oh, tuan. Ada kelas tak? Ya, belum, tak sempat. Tak ya. Sorry. So now it's up to market to determine. Laluan ni berapa nak tu, it's up to market. Kalau lah the consumer feel the passenger the fare is too much, terlalu high, so they can opt for another airline or they can use another mode dan sebagainya. So let the market to determine. But dia kata the power of Federal Aviation Administration. Dia ada satu authority, government authority, that is FAA ni, Federal Aviation Administration ni, dia still intervene in case of just for to ensure the airline ni conform to the highest punya air safety. In case kata accident, the plane crash umpamanya, FAA will come to NTS, National Transport Bureau so they come and do the investigation. That's why when they let the market to determine, all the airline company, syarikat penerbangan ni have to keep up to date punya record. When you change when you do the maintenance, when you do this one, tukar tayar bila, tukar apa, all the record must be up to date. Anything katalah plane crash, umpamanya kapal terbang tu crash, terhempas kat mana-mana dan sebagainya, dan dalam investigation tu they will look for the record ni. So dia tengok the record when the last date it was service dan sebagainya. Dia akan tengok dari, because they still campur tangan because of the to ensure that the safety is at the highest punya level. Kalau kita ni dia akan check lah macam-macam, dia pun very strict. Kemudian issues, so government intervention market, market punya participation punya ni, issues on efficiency. So why we need to let the market to determine, to play more role, for example, because of the efficiency. That's why government they privatize. Many project, many previously owned by the government ni they privatize, macam Port Kelang. Port Kelang dulu government yang operate, semua staff government, but now they privatize. They started with the privatization of the Kelang Container Terminal. Dulu ada container bus, ada 3 bus, nombor 8, 9, 10 kan, nombor 4 tu saya tak ingat, ada 3. Masa tu saya melawat lah, masa dia mula-mula dalam a year or two after privatization tu, tahun 87, 88. Tapi melawat kat tempat tu 87, 88. So because they want to improve the efficiency through the privatization, because they say under the government the decision made very slow, lambat, they involve many birokrasi dan sebagainya. So by giving to private sector, they can make fast decision. Dan kadang-kadang kita ni nak kena pergi sebab decision, because we use the public money ni, nak buat certain simple decision pun we have to have meeting lah, follow certain procedure. Bukanlah bermaksud dia kami ni pun tak boleh ikut. They have also some guideline juga kami ni, but they can make a fast punya decision. Adalah dia punya guideline dia for a good governance dan sebagainya. Nah, so kita tengok itu. Dulu kalau kita tengok kita punya Malaysian port ni just can handle 25 movement an hour of container from the port ni dekat kapal ni, pengendalian peralihan container daripada kapal ke yard ke bawah ni dia angkat tu, just can do 25, but now after privatization the productivity improve to 35, mungkin kadang-kadang sampai 38, 40 ni punya movement. So we need efficiency. If not, the ship owner ni, the shipping company ni dia reluctant to utilize our port ni. Dia pemain tapi kadang-kadang kita kata lambat, you have to wait and there are a lot of queue dan sebagainya. That's why Singapore port ni still one of the ni because of the efficiency ni. One of the main punya port in the world. Dulu it was the busiest port Singapore port, but now it has been overtaken by Shanghai port, and there are few ports in China become the top. I think 3-4 port in China become the top 10 port, busiest port in the world now. Kemudian isu how about the consumer, if we give to the public to this private sector to decide on everything. So how about how you want to protect the customer dan sebagainya. And another issue is the national competitiveness, because we are not compete satu lagi within our own country, macam port umpamanya, port Tanjung Pelepas compete with the West Port, the North Port dan sebagainya, but we also compete with our foreign punya our border punya country ni. Macam we are also competing with the Singapore port, port of Tanjung Priok umpamanya. If the port of Tanjung Priok they improve dia punya ni, so we will lose out in the business dan sebagainya. Kemudian Bangkok port dan sebagainya, yang our neighboring port punya ni. So it involve the national competitiveness. That's why we have to improve our port. Dulu Malaysia port ni dari segi produktif tak banyak. Nak capai 1 million TEUs pun susah. But now we can achieve more than berapa million. Kalau combination tu banyaklah combination. But even the Port Klang pun dia dah achieve more than how many million. Saya tak ingat dia punya ni. So bukan cakap port saja. We have to improve our airport dan sebagainya. Because it determine our national competitiveness. Even when the company they decide want to invest in Malaysia umpamanya, one of the reason one of the ni dia akan tengok is the transport infrastructure. Do we have the good transport infrastructure ataupun tidak one of the reason lah. Kemudian privatization. What is privatization? We mentioned about the privatization ni. Privatization ni maksud dia transfer of ownership. We transfer ownership, pemindahan pemilikan from the government to the private sector. That is the privatization punya ni. That is the privatization. Transfer of ownership. Transfer of ownership from government to the private sector. That is the privatization. Kalau nationalization pula, dia terbalik. It's the opposite. Maksudnya transfer of ownership from private sector, from the private sector ni to the government. Terbalik. Normally ni kalau dekat negara Afrika dulu adalah few country, when they won the election, okay, dia ambil alih syarikat-syarikat tentu memilik negarakan. Macam contoh, ni tak betul lah contoh, tapi contoh di Malaysia, contohnya katalah saya menang pilihan raya, dia kata okay, TNB daripada syarikat saya nak jadi milik negarakan, contoh. Tapi TNB ni kita privatize dulu syarikat, memang kita it's owned by the government, but government privatize later. But government still have say lah walaupun dia privatize, because it's a strategic punya industry. So this is the two yang opposite punya. Kalau privatization, this is transfer of ownership from government to the private sector. Nationalization, transfer of ownership from private sector to the government. Why we want to privatize? Satu, to improve efficiency. As I said, dulu kita just buat berapa? Kita buat 25 punya movement an hour, but but now through the privatization, the productivity at the port improve. For example, mungkin kita boleh buat 35 pergerakan, 35 pergerakan an hour. Contoh, improve efficiency. Dulu kerja kerajaan, tak buat kerja contoh bukan nak kata kerajaan, saya pun kerja kerajaan. Tak pergi kerja pun contoh. Pergi lambat tak buat kerja pun dapat gaji juga. But now you work with the private sector, you have to work hard lah. You have to buat contoh bukanlah ni. To reduce the financial burden of the government. Government, they have budget. Every year, bulan 10, they present the budget, berapa billion we want to allocate for dana mengurus, or dana for development. Mengurus ni bayar gaji dan sebagainya, and a certain portion for development, buat building dan sebagainya. So dulu sebelum privatization ni, macam KTMB contohlah, macam Port Kelang, port mana-mana port Pahang port, Kuantan port dan sebagainya. Government have to set, to allocate, nak kena letak, okay, this few 100 million, 100 billion for improvement of port mana-mana dan sebagainya. But now through the privatization, it's up to government, tak payah nak allocate dah, tak payah nak peruntukkan dah, sebab it's the company have to find their own punya fund to fund dia punya operating, development expenses dan sebagainya. So perbelanjaan dia boleh kurangkan bebanan kewangan kerajaan by privatization ni. Ingat dulu masa kita buat projek Lebuh Raya Utara Selatan, the cost was 800 over million. So through the privatization, the company tu yang have to bear dia punya financial punya burden, not the government. The government will that, and normally they tak kita cerita yang masuk yang satu lagi. So yang ni. So there are many ways of privatization. So ada banyak cara lah. Sale, jual, lease, sewa, management contract, tu penawaran dari segi pengurusan, dia uruskan. Build, bina, build, operate, transfer. Saya nak cerita tentang build, operate and transfer ni. Build, operate and transfer ni. Yang ni, build, operate and transfer ni. So, contoh dia, projek Lebuh Raya Plus ni. Plus highway. Plus highway. Plus highway ni. Okay. Plus highway ni, government nak jimat duit. Government tak ada duit because at that time it was recession. Government decided to build the Plus highway, North South highway ni. So government dia appoint, they give to one company, bawah Renong Group, UM Group ni, they form a company, the company form another company, the Plus Sdn Bhd, Projek Lebuh Raya Utara Selatan Sdn Bhd. So government gives them to build the highway for 800 over kilometer ni. Why you have to find your own fund lah, cari duit nyari, and government allow for the company, when the dia punya highway ni completed, government allow for the company to operate. They allow for operate initially for 23 years, 23 tahun. Because the company, they spend money, they allow them to get back the investment duit balik, plus profit. That's why they charge toll kat sini. They operate, maintenance, do the maintenance through dulu ada nama company Propel. Sekarang tak ada, dia pernah nama lain pula. Now operate. Dia operate, dia maintain dan sebagainya, dia charge ni, dia dapat duit, dia dapat untung, dia dapat boleh bayar hutang bank dan sebagainya. At the end of 23 years, they have to transfer back to the government. It will owned by the government. Lastly, it will be owned by the government. They operate, build, the company have to build, the company will operate, collect toll dan sebagainya, dapat duit, and at the end of the concession period tu, they transfer back to the government for ni. So it will be under the government lah, government yang ni. Dia punya macam tu, dia punya build, operate, dan dia punya konsep privatization. Tapi disebabkan oleh kadang-kadang Sebab company yang dapat ni plus Sdn Bhd ni every 3 years they are allowed to revise the toll rate ni. Kadar toll ni tiap-tiap 3 tahun dia boleh revise, dia boleh semak, dia boleh naik. Kemudian kadang-kadang ada isu government time tu nak naik. Tiba-tiba ada election time tu nak election, nak pilihan raya. So bila kalaulah government allow them to increase the toll, so government will lose out dia punya undi dan sebagainya. Dia punya vote will lose out the votes dan sebagainya, hilang ni. So what government did was dia allow extension. Okay, tak payah naik, dia bagi tahu kami we extend you another 3 years ke berapa tahun ke dan sebagainya. Daripada 23 tahun jadi 26 tahun jadi berapa sekarang ni dah 30. Dia punya ni kalau nak ikutnya. So that's dia punya cara, dia punya ni. Kemudian bill operate, bill lease transfer sama jugalah. Lease transfer. Kemudian bill land development, land swap. Land development ni, land swap ni tak ada apa yang ni macam apa ni, penjara Pudu punya, tahu tak penjara Pudu dekat the old penjara Pudu near the Bukit Bintang tu. Bukit Bintang dekat Jaya Times Square tu. They have the old penjara Pudu, the land price is very expensive. They build a new one dekat Sungai Buloh. They ask for another party, bukan government lah, the private party to construct. Dia akan swap dengan tanah tu. Dia ada nilai dia. Dia ada nilai dia. Kalau the land, they value, Jabatan Penilaian, they value katalah 500 million, contoh. And the cost to build for the the prison Sungai Buloh tu, Sungai Buloh dah siap dah lama dah plate katalah 500 juga, dia just swap tu. Kalau lah beza kata 100 juta, 200 juta atau berapa pun, dia akan kena bayar lah. So either the government have to pay or the company have to pay. So there is a way. Daripada katalah harga tanah tu mungkin 1 bilion contoh dah 1 bilion, tapi nak buat Sungai Buloh tu hanya 300 juta. So the company have to pay the government 700 million. Yang contoh. The value tu, the actual value saya tak tahulah the actual value. Then we move to another one that is on transport policy. Transport policy ni. Dasar pengangkutan. Policy ni originate from government. But dia originate government ni yang akan mulakan, but you have to get feedback, input from other stakeholders. From the NGOs, from the academician in logistic transport, for example, you have to get from the industry. You have to get from the union. You have to get the Malaysian Employer Federation, from every stakeholder. Dia kata the transport policy ni originate from the government initiate it and guide decision. Dan dia guide lah, dia maksud dia kita tak boleh nak ni, this is follow dia punya policy. Maksud dia guide ni, dia guide ni pimpin. For Malaysian transport policy should be considered in transport policy aim at achieving efficient and effective transportation. So it set direction, define role, stakeholder kind of assistance. Apa yang kerajaan nak bantu daripada kerajaan kepada industri dan sebagainya. So the clear transport policy would differentiate the level of government intervention and market intervention in the industry. So ni contoh lah. Contoh di Britain, New Zealand, they opted for the market economic approach. So which they felt is the best interest of both consumer dan society. Dekat Britain dulu, it was operated by the government. Later they regulate, they give to the private sector to operate. So dia ni, kalau Jerman, France, dia kata dia sebahagian daripada social structure. So dia kata government intervention is necessary. Maksudnya dia mix kat si government, at the same time government will intervene to fulfill the social objective of the transport policy. In Eastern Europe, dekat Romania dulu ni, dia kata public transport was treated as a basic necessity of life. Maksud dia basic public transport ni dianggap sebagai macam basic necessity of life. Ni keperluan asas kehidupan ni, macam kita kata basic necessity of life ni like the food, makanan, security, pelindungan, shelter, pelindungan ni. So that is a basic necessity. But in European country, public transport is also considered as a basic necessity of life. So dia macam makanannya penting. So and citizens were provided for the public transport ni with a very low punya fare. That's why yang ni saya kata saya nak relate to efficiency and effectiveness. That's why in macam Romania, macam negara Eropah Timur dulu ni, dia punya level of service was very poor. The bus not properly maintained dan sebagainya. But tambang ni murah lah. Macam dekat Britain, Netherlands ni, so tambang mahal dan sebagainya. Even Jerman and France pun mahal juga kalau kita nak tengok tambang ni. Mahal. Tapi this is okay, either you want to have the very low punya fare, government control everything dan sebagainya, but you have a very compared to the Britain and but kalau kita nak tengok di China lain pula. Kalau tengok di China, they have very good, very effective, very efficient punya transportation system. Daripada banyak di intercity punya high speed train dan sebagainya. They are very good. Government control, but you have to pay certain fare lah. Tak nak kata mahal, tak mahal. Saya pernah naik sekali tu yang daripada Shanghai ke Wuxi naik ke naik kereta api ni. Tambang ni tak mahal walaupun first classnya ni. Okey, kita tengok Malaysia punya National Transportation Policy. Dulu kita tak ada, we don't have the National Transportation Policy. But yang ni it was introduced by the previous government, the Pakatan Harapan government ni. For the 2019 to 2030 punya. So dia kata these are the objective: economy competitiveness, social element and environment protection. So dia nak kata sebab ekonomi competitiveness ni kalau tak ada ni, kita nak buat polisi ni nak encourage for economic competitiveness. Port kita nak setanding, pengangkutan darat kita nak elok dan sebagainya. So we want to compete with another country, we want to attract FDI dan sebagainya. So we have to be competitive. These are the ni seamless movement of goods to boost trading activity, ease of doing business. So this another ni under community. Kemudian social element. Social provide mobility. Mobility ni maksud dia kita concern with everyone. Those who live in the rural area. Kita bagi juga kenderaan bas bara umpamanya. Kenderaan bas bara ni government dah bagi lama lah kenderaan bas bara ni. Bukan untung kot sebab dia just to carry few passenger. Tetapi kalau tak bagi tak boleh sebab that is to fulfill the social obligation. Ada penduduk katalah dekat mana adalah certain area dekat even kat Kedah pun ada. So ada 5-6 orang, tak banyak, but you have to give because to meet the social punya element. Depa ni motor pun tak ada. Kereta pun tak ada. Orang memang depa rely on the public transport, nak pergi ke bandar dan sebagainya, nak hantar anak, nak pergi tengok anak. Tuan-tuan tak apalah, ada handphone tukar kad. Tengah-tengah yang duduk kampung tu depa miskin. Depa tak ni, depa duk harap government punya ni. So there is a social element dan sebagainya. To provide mobility that meet expectation of people and promote inclusively. Promote inclusively ni maksud dia semua orang tak terkecuali. Semua orang kita tengok, kita ada. So they have to provide this kind of, they have to continue. That's why kalau nak bagi kat private sector untuk operate syarikat mana-mana, mereka tak mau sebab tak menguntungkan. So government tanggung lah. Yang ni government tanggung. Just to ni. Tapi bukanlah kerap, bukanlah sejam sekali. Dia mungkin pagi sekali, tengah hari sekali, petang sekali. Tak banyak dia punya. Just provide, at least they have. Dia pergi bandar pagi, dia tunggu tengah hari tu dia boleh balik. Ataupun dia tunggu petang sekali dia boleh balik. Environment protection. Environment protection. Kita tengok, okay, kita concern with the environment. Ensure efficient, sustainable use of resource, minimize how. This is a broad guideline. Kalau yang nak spesifik ni, nanti dia akan explain lah guna. Dulu kita guna ada RON 93, but now kita tak guna plumber lah contoh. Tapi itu before 2019 lagi. So ada banyak-banyak cara yang kita ni. Kalau kat negara Eropah umpamanya dia spesifik. Ni kemudian action tu spesifik. Kena ada Euro 6 compliant. Now they are moving towards the towards the electric engine dan sebagainya. Kemudian the objective are supported by 5 policy thrust. The governance, optimal business, bacalah ni. Kalau tuan-tuan nak tengok ni, tengok dalam Ministry of Transport website, they have a detail. And you can download a PDF copy of the National Transportation Policy. That one toward green transportation, enhance safety, integrity, connectivity dan sebagainya. So there is national transportation, national kita punya. But after 2030 ni, they have to revise lah. They have to revise. To revise apa dan improve dan sebagainya. Kemudian government in the transport sector ni dia ada many government, many ministry, banyak jabatan, banyak kementerian involved in transportation and logistics. Ministry of Transport, kita ada Ministry of Transport. Kementerian Pengangkutan, they involved in policy formulation umpamanya. Formulation and enforcement. Enforcement ni through saya nak sebut JPJ. Jabatan Pengangkutan Jalan, Road Transport Department. They check for license, kita ada license, ada. Kalau tak ada saman kita ada sebagainya. So this is the Ministry of Transport. Kemudian previously we have the Suruhanjaya Pengangkutan Awam Darat. Kita ada dulu SPAT. Kemudian when Pakatan Harapan take over ni, they abolish the SPAT, they introduce APAT, agency. SPAT ni Suruhanjaya it put direct under the Prime Minister, and the expenses very banyak lah dia punya. They put under the Ministry of Transport. One of agency under the Ministry of Transport now, the APAT, Agensi Pengangkutan Awam Darat ni. Ingat awam darat ni concern with land, concern with the rail. Dia involved dengan truk, lori, bus, taxi, e-hailing punya ni. Dia involved dengan kereta api, dia involved LRT, dia involved dengan monorail, dia involved dengan MRT dan sebagainya. Daratnya ni. Kemudian we have the Ministry of Environment and Water. Ministry of Environment and Water ni. Tapi kadang-kadang dia tukar banyak, government tukar. Dia kadang nama pun tukar. Dapat yang ni saya ingat dia akut Environment and Water. Ada satu environment sebab tukar banyak, ada tukar. Department of Environment. Daripada Department of Environment check asap. They do the enforcement together with the JPJ dengan polis. Yang ni Ministry of Water, tengok lepas asap, ia tak asap hitam dan sebagainya. Kemudian Ministry of Home Affairs. Menteri Dalam Negeri ada polis kat situ, do the enforcement. Kemudian Ministry of Work ni Kementerian Kerja Raya through the infrastructure dulu they build the infrastructure, but now they just act as the monitoring dan sebagainya infrastructure. Kalau buat bangunan macam buat bangunan UEM ni, contract online buat swasta, but they come and check on the structure, on the material. Barang ni kita kata approve this type of material, dia pasal material low quality. So JKR punya peranan lah tu. Tu nak tegur, tu nak ganti dan sebagainya. Kemudian EPU, very powerful unit under the Ministry the Prime Minister Department. EPU dia involved dengan privatization dan sebagainya. Dulu privatization port, EPU yang decide ni. EPU yang decide on the privatization. Macam mana dia akan buat operasi, berapa lama dan sebagainya. Ada agreement dengan concession agreement with the organisation. Ministry of Transport, kita go detail Ministry of Transport ni. So these are what they do: plan, devise, monetization, they provide licensing service, implement physical project. Yang ni they work together with Ministry of Work ni. Kemudian dia issue the domestic shipping license, individual vehicle license macam kita pergi JPJ dan sebagainya, private car, business, pilot for aviation and maritime and others ni. Kemudian register all mode, kita beli kereta baru, nak register, normally agent lah buat kan, tapi kena register kat JPJ, bayar duit UT stamp, kemudian lagi dekat kerajaan, bayar duit number plate, RM40, RM50 ke, RM100 ke lebih. Determine pricing policy, land, monetary policy questionnaire. Questionnaire ni macam projek lebuh raya, dia dapat concession lah 32-33 tahun ke 30 tahun ke Malaysia Airport Berhad dapat apa 60 tahun ke 70 tahun punya quality share. Kemudian multi legal issues, conduct diligence and corporation. So these are agency under the MOT. Kita ada Jabatan Pengurusan Darat, Jalan, kita ada nak detail terkini tengok dalam MOT punya website. Kita ada Jabatan Laut, kita ada agensi pengurusan awam, APAT yang saya kata tadi ni. Kemudian kita ada Commercial Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia, CAM ni. CAM ni ganti DCA. Dulu kita ada DCA, Jabatan Penerbangan Awam, Department of Civil Aviation. But now dia punya term nanti tak apa, nanti dia punya ni saya akan bagi dia dah jadi badan berkanun dah, so dia bukan CAM. Kemudian we have the MIROS, Malaysia Institute of Road Safety. Siapa buat apa ni on road safety ni, masuk MIROS punya website to have the data dah. And they have the data on the number of accident, number of apa-apa, what the government do to improve the safety level dan sebagainya. You can check on kalau projek buat on the road transport safety lah, road accident road transport safety. Kemudian kita ada MIMA, Malaysian Institute of Maritime, MIMA. Macam-macam lah kita ada kat sini Lembaga Pelabuhan Kelang, Lembaga Pelabuhan Johor, Lembaga Pelabuhan Kuantan, Penang dan sebagainya. Dia masih lagi, walaupun pelabuhan itu diswastakan, even though the port, they have privatized the port, but the owner of the land, pemilikan tanah apa tu is still belong to this LPK, Lembaga Pelabuhan Kelang. For after the concession period end tu, it will return back to the Lembaga Pelabuhan Kelang. Ataupun dia kata continue, but you have to pay specific punya concession punya fee dan sebagainya. So dia adalah macam pelabuhan Pulau Pinang ni. Pelabuhan Pulau Pinang dia ada dulu government, but now the operation tu is under the private party. Private party dia operate, but the government, the lembaga pelabuhan Pulau still involved, but they just tengok dari segi legality dan sebagainya, dia macam tengok dari segi conformity to the government punya concession dan sebagainya. Kemudian kita ada Perbadanan Aset Kereta Api. KTM ni operate at loss rugi sentiasa. So one way to overcome this is to absorb all the losses tu under the Perbadanan Aset Kereta Api. They are operating at loss, especially for the passenger tak rugi. Tak untung. Passenger. So this is one way government punya. Itu pun union railway man union RAM punya tu bantah dengan macam lah. Kemudian kita ada MEFCOM. MEFCOM ni is another entity lah. Nanti kalau tuan-tuan ada problem, you can lodge complaint with the MEFCOM, Malaysia Airport dan sebagainya. Ada banyak lagi lah. Kemudian MEFCOM. Submit MEFCOM ni, Malaysian Aviation Commission. Establish bila dan sebagainya. Tuan-tuan baca lah. Dia regulate economic and commercial matter. Yang ni MEFCOM ni tentang commercial economicnya ni. Perdagangan, you got problem with your fare dan sebagainya, you can lodge complaint with the MEFCOM. Dia kata regulate economic matter related to civil aviation industry. Provide mechanism for protection consumer. Dia kata for mechanism for dispute resolution between aviation industry player. Administer and manage air traffic right, provide government administer manage route under public regulation. This is MEFCOM, the economic regulator. This is MOT. This is dulu DCA, Jabatan Penerbangan Awam, lah tukar nama CAM. Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia. So they involve in technical regulator ni, overseeing safety, maintenance, security, manage control tower dan sebagainya. That is under the CAM. Involved in technical issue. But on the economic consumer issue, nak complain apa ni, you complain to MEFCOM. MOT ni dia live semua, dia tengok semua lah. Kemudian G2G negotiate for bilateral right ni. So dia kalau lah Malaysia Airlines, they want to have more landing right dekat UK, kat Heathrow for example, they go to the government will negotiate between the other government, the British government, to ask for all more landing right. Dulu kita ada 1-2 seminggu, but now we have every day. Government always negotiate for ni. Kalau airline ask, they will negotiate on behalf of the Malaysian punya Malaysian nation owned airline ni. CM, commonly known of Department of Civil Aviation, DCA, kita kata Jabatan Penerbangan Awam dulu ni. Become statutory body yang ni saya dah sebut tadi ni, statutory body to be known as the Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia. So regulate on the safety security lah, aircraft certification, registration, registration of aircraft, you have to go to the CAM, personnel certification, airport licensing, air operation, air traffic control, air navigation equipment certification. This is under the CAM punya jurisdiction. Kemudian kita tengok apa some paper cutting on macam mana kalau tuan-tuan nak saman, nak tengok on dia ni. Lagi kita berhenti dalam kita 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 saya berhenti lah. 3.5 kita berhenti. Yang ni apa ni, the star ni in 2019 macam mana MEFCOM define Asia sebab apa? So customer complain, customer go to the went to lodge complaint with the MEFCOM. MEFCOM they conducted dia punya ni. MEFCOM fine denda Air Asia dengan Air Asia Act. Apa beza Air Asia dengan Air Asia Act ni? Air Asia ni jarak dekat. Air Asia Act ni boleh kata intercontinental, pergi Australia. Dan hari tu dia kata nak pergi ke Britain, jarak jauh lah, maksud jarak jauh. Tapi saya tak pasti sebab COVID, most of the Air Asia punya fleet ni grounded, dia tak berjalan dan sebagainya. Yang ni 2019 contoh nak bagi contoh saja macam mana MEFCOM denda Air Asia Act 200,000 tiap satu, mana 400,000 lah Air Asia kena bayar. Reasonnya for charging credit card, debit card and online banking processing fee separate from their base fare. Dia tunjuk tambang tu RM15. Kita tak keluar dia charge sampai 20 lebih. Dia charge kita punya credit card punya fee. Kita consumer consumer di lodge complaint dekat MEFCOM they conducted our investigation and they found guilty. Dia kata bersalah dan didenda 200,000. Sebenarnya Air Asia dah kena lama dah di Australia denda, tapi di Malaysia lambat. Orang dah lama dah komplain baru dia permit tindakan. Di Australia memang dia buat dulu, dia kena dah banyak bayar denda yang mahal. Jadi high punya fine. They paid very high fine. MEFCOM fee charge by the airline contravene. Dia kata the fee charge by the airline contravene menyalahi the Malaysian Aviation Consumer Protection Code 2016. So that is dia punya ni lah. Dia punya contoh tu. Saya nak ni contoh je lah. Yang ni dia fine Malaysian Airport Berhad. Malaysia Airport Holding Berhad yang pengendali airport di Malaysia ni. Ingat Malaysia Airport dia manage airport ni, lapangan terbang. Air Asia untuk airline, bukan lapangan terbang. Lapangan terbang Malaysia Airport yang manage di Malaysia. Kecuali di Senai, that not belong to Malaysia Airport. Yang lain semua under Malaysia Airport. Malaysia Airport didenda 1.18 million juta. For not meeting airport service level for airport user including passenger, airline, ground facility dan sebagainya. So dia kata fail to meet of the airport quality of service ni framework from January March 2009. So that is contoh lah. MEFCOM ni dia dapat duit setiap ringgit yang kita spend tu, RM1 goes to MEFCOM. RM1 bagi kat MEFCOM. So kalau apa-apa masalah complain lodge complain with the MEFCOM. Macam ni Air Traffic Malaysia today at more than 500 million passenger per annum. Maksud dia dah dapat dah 1 juta setahun daripada ni. Sebab kalau 1 juta passenger guna airport, maksud dia dah dapat income 1 juta. Very easy punya income. Saya pun mau kalau nak suruh buat ni MEFCOM, tapi MEFCOM ada lain punya city. Okey, kita tengok kita punya hak Meskom punya ada, dia punya apa? Dia masuk dalam tu hak-hak dia. Hak-hak. Okey, contohlah ni, tuan-tuan boleh tengok dalam Meskom punya website lah. Flight delay, saya nak bagi contoh ya. Kelewatan penerbangan dan pembatalan. Now, if your flight is delayed or cancelled, kiranya penerbangan awak dilewatkan ataupun dibatalkan, your airline will most likely need to provide you with compensation. Airline patutnya bayarlah papasan compensation tu to help you get your travel plan back on track depending on the nature of the delay or cancellation. This may include syarikat penerbangan ni kalau lah kalau delay for the delay of 2 hours or more, lebih daripada 2 jam atau lebih, syarikat penerbangan kena perlu bayar meal, makanan lah, tengah hari ke, pagi ke, malam ke. Telephone call, in case you don't have you rely on they have to provide you with telephone call and internet access. Hotel accommodation, penginapan hotel pula, dan transport pengangkutan for delay of 5 hours. Lebih daripada 5 jam, dah pukul 12 tengah malam, 3 pagi umpamanya. When a stay become necessary, tengah malam, kena provide lah kita with hotel. Full refund or alternative flight if your flight is cancelled. So, if you believe that you have not been adequately compensated, tak dibayar pampasan yang secukupnya, lodge, laporkan a formal complaint, laporan yang formal with the airline operating in the flight before contacting Meskom. Dia kata lodge dekat dia punya airline dulu, kemudian baru contact Meskom. Itu salah satu cara lah. Kemudian Port Klang Authority, sama ayat saya kata tadi Port Klang Authority ni dulu Port Klang ni it was operated by Malaysia Railway before Port Klang took over ni. So dia juga statutory corporation juga macam TM lah, tapi dia lama dah. So dia kata it was responsible for development and operation. Ingat development satu, operation of Port Klang. Dulu Port Klang ni government yang operate, but then they privatize to non-sport dekat they give KCT non-sport ni Westport dan 3G ini kat Pulau Indah in 1990 sebenarnya ni. So dia kata then PKA then move away from being directly involved, dia tak involved dah in port operation and remain, but mereka kekal sebagai regulator, pengawal lah, government yang control, saya kata tadi regulator or landlord sebagai tuan tanah dia. PKA has defined for function tuan-tuan baca lah. Kemudian another shareholder trade union. Trade union ni nanti tuan-tuan akan deal with the trade union lah. Dulu saya pernah deal when I was at your age tu. Lawan dengan transport worker union sebenarnya. Because you represent, nantilah tuan-tuan akan represent management. Kalau tuan-tuan kerja sebagai driver, saya kata, tuan-tuan akan represent union lah. Trade union. So, trade union is a basic organisation by the worker, of the worker, by the worker and for the worker. So, to improve the worker economic, gaji dan sebagainya, and other interests within framework of employee-employer relationship, kerja lebih daripada 40 jam, tak kurang dan sebagainya. It's a collective action. Collective action ni maksud dia kita bukan acts on individual basis, on collective, bersama. Kalau tuan-tuan pergi negotiate seorang, tak berapa strong lah. Kalau ramai, very strong. Kalau kita nak buat tunjuk perasaan seorang, tapi kita turun tunjuk perasaan 5,000 orang, 10 orang. So, kita suara kita, our voice will be seriously heard by the top of organisation, authority, government dan sebagainya. So, So, to defend the right against capitalists, to strengthen the bargaining power, macam-macam lah. Dulu masa saya discuss, siapa nak gaji. Because gaji ni, kita sebelum nak pergi, kita dapat kajian lah. Okay, what is the maximum, the ceiling, the maximum limit that we can give to the workers. But government pula, kalau dia entertain semua, bukan government, the company, kalau dia entertain semua, they give all mereka minta apa kita bagi. No, over a long term, the company will suffer. Last kali pun peja-peja kena buang, company bankrupt dan sebagainya. So we have, as a responsible punya majikan, we have to have a certain punya point lah. Okay, kalau lebih daripada ni kita tak boleh, kita tak sustain our business. Jadi kita letaklah, okay, kita negotiate ronda, kemudian kita move on dan sebagainya. So that is the ni cara nak bincang dulu. Kemudian NTUC. NTUC ni is a Federation of Trade Union. Banyak trade union bergabung under duduk di bawah NTUC. Dia macam Trade Union Congress. Registered under Society Act apa ni. So dia ada banyak ni. So hal ni penting. NTUC have been recognized. Maksud dia government iktiraf NTUC. Kalau government nak introduce new law, nak change labor law dan sebagainya, they will normally consult NTUC. Dia katanya pendapat NTUC dan sebagainya. Dia kata NTUC also represent labor at the ILO punya meeting. This is one body under the United Nations. Selalunya NTUC akan wakili union lah. Ministry of Human Resource akan wakili kerajaan di International Labour Organization Conference and Meeting. Function, tengoklah kaji kadang 44 jam dan sebagainya. Tentu baca lah yang ni. Dulu masa duduk ni, dia minta gaji, kita tak boleh bagi. Kemudian what we offer is additional punya additional punya off day tu. Kalau setahun dulu, tuan-tuan kerja nanti. Setahun cuti tuan-tuan 10 hari, 14 hari. Lah jadi student. Ponok. Nanti bila kerja, ada setengah 14 hari, ada setengah 20 hari. 14 hari, ada setengah 10 hari. So, bukanlah kata ni. Kalau tuan-tuan macam sekarang ni, boleh cuti kadang-kadang. Tak mau kelas, tuan-tuan penting. Not for kalau kerja kerja. Itulah kalau tuan-tuan kahwin, ada tanggungjawab dia, ada sebagainya. So, ada banyak benda yang kita fikir. Kemudian this is the FTUC punya affiliate. Banyak affiliate FTUC yang bergabung bawah FTUC ni. Cuma yang ni saya potong-potong, saya ambil, saya tinggalkan yang transport logistik saja. Saya cari macam kerja Limbungan Timur, serta kaitangan Kelang Container Terminal KCT, Kelang Port Management Staff Union, serta sekerja kita dengan sistem television TV3 punya. Yang ni saya tak dan delete ni, saya nak ambil yang logistik saja. Jadi tak apalah. Banyak, maksudnya banyak yang become dia duduk bawah NTUC ni. Yang saya dulu ni Transport Worker Union ni, very strong union yang untuk transportnya. Ada ketikanya bila kita sack, kita berhentikan one of our staff. The staff ni was the TW punya member. Okay, union datang bincang, so reinstate balik dan sebagainya. So macam-macam lah. People akan fight for the workers. That's why kalau nanti tuan-tuan kalau jaga driver dan sebagainya, you have to have. Dulu saya ingat saya kena hafal Employment Act 1955 tu. Tengok macam mana tu dan sebagainya. Macam kalau lah dia tak datang 4-5 hari umpamanya, the next day ni dia datang, he come to the office and dia bawa kereta, bawa lori dan sebagainya, bawa bas ke apa semua. So you tak boleh check dia lah dulu. Kita kena bagi tahu dekat guard, okay, if this person come to dia ni, you just stop, don't allow him to enter the premise dan sebagainya. So ada macam-macam technical punya benda yang kita kena ikut. Kalau dia masuk start kerja, tak boleh nak buat apa lah. Kita nak argue with the court pun susah, dia very difficult. We have to follow dia punya ni. Hafal tu, saya memang hafal. Berapa jam, pembayaran gaji dan sebagainya, memang. Kemudian there are a few organisation, Domestic Transport Related Organisation, CRT ni. CRT ni based in London in UK, Portland Place ni. Dulu kebanyakan Commonwealth country, they have branch. Dulu ada cawangan, tapi but now dia bukan dia panggil branch lagi, dia panggil country apa tu, maksud dia bagi more empowerment and autonomy for the each country punya to have their own punya ni banyak itu. So, tuan-tuan apa nanti belajar kalau macam student UEM, student logistik, BBA transport dengan logistik ni, they will get 2 degree because CLT ni dia offer another professional qualification, like kan professional. Dia ada exam dia dan sebagainya. Exam tu kerajaan kita iktiraf sama dengan ijazah dia. So, what we do for the past few semester ni, we have agreement with the CLT for the student student BBA logistik transport lah. So, they are entitled for the CLT punya professional membership. So, mean that when they grad, they have a 2 degree lah, 2 degree. Satu awarded by the UM, satu lagi by the DCLT, professional degree. Kita so far ada 2 program yang layak, satu BIBM. Because they have been audited by the CLT dan sebagainya. So nanti kita ada few more program sepatutnya, but because of the COVID, mereka tak boleh nak masuk buat audit dan sebagainya. So we have to postpone to another date. So CLT ni, dia punya ni. Kalau tuan-tuan ni, we can become a member of the CLT. Kemudian UITP ni International Association of Public Transport. Yang ni siapa-siapa lah, academician, operator dan sebagainya, they come together and they share dia punya experience. Tempat perkongsian. Saya pernah attend 2 kali UITP punya conferences ni. Tapi ni lama lah saya tak pernah attend UITP. Kemudian kita ada ICO ni. Ingat nak ICO ni, International Civil Aviation Organization, they are under the United Nations, bawah Pertubuhan Bangsa Bersatu. Specialized agency khusus bawah Bangsa Bersatu. The membership ni is a country. Country ni. Maksud dia Malaysia can be a member of Malaysia is already a member lah. Is a member of the country, can be a member of the ICAO ni. Kalaulah dia Asia, Garuda, Qantas, dia Air New Zealand, kalaulah dia dia ada few punya ni Thai Airways dan sebagainya, Singapore Airlines they can be a member of IATA. IATA ni is a membership dia airline, syarikat penerbangan, bukan negara. Negara yang ni International Civil Aviation Organization. So this is the membership open to countries, to nation yang punya ni. But for the IATA to Industrial Trade Group, yang ni airline. Maksudnya airline, Malaysia Airlines can be a member of IATA, Qantas, Garuda can be a member of IATA dan sebagainya. Kemudian kita ada maritime. Yang tadi civil aviation, yang ni maritime. Laut, So, is also a specialized agency khusus under the United Nations. Contoh bangsa-bangsa yang lain, contoh baca lah. Untuk baca. I think that's all for the chapter 3 before we move to chapter 4. Hari ni kita move chapter 4, chapter 3 lah. Ni just chapter 2. Any question? Lepas tu saya akan berhenti lah. Tak don't worry. Saya akan berhenti. Kemudian kita ni. Ada soalan? Do you have question? Ada soalan tak? Ada berapa ramai? 29 orang ni. 29. Tang tak tidur apa ni lah. Kata tidur lah. Mana tidur? Ngantuk lah. Okey, boleh scan lagi kalau siapa tak buat. Siapa yang tak ni, saya buat manual. Saya nak buat manual. Ngantuk lah kan. Tak boleh tidur. Sonok. Tak mahu makan nasi. Ngantuk. Bila kelas ni nak habis. Bismillah. Sekejap lagi saya masuk chapter 3. Kalau siapa tak ada ni, saya akan masuk chapter 3. Then hopefully we can finish. Badrul Amin ada? Muhammad Badrul Amin? Muhammad Badrul Amin, are you still around? Still around. Muhammad Amirul Amin? Muhammad Amirul Amin. Buatlah apa ni. Dan tengok apa kemudahan untuk orang kurang payah dan sebagainya. Nah, what are the facilities, what the available punya nah, macam textile pavement punya tu, the braille system. Nah, what are the facilities that we should allow in the mass rapid MRT, LRT dan sebagainya. Nah, boleh sembang ya on the lacking nah, kekurangan of the transport facility for disabled in this country ke, boleh juga cerita. The problem faced by them ke. Entah many lah, pilihlah. Pilih ya. Boleh tak? Apa lagi nak tanya saya? Nah, that is the guideline. Tak apa buat. Nah, macam mana? The Queens. Apa? So that is the guideline. Buat Queens. Nah. So that is the guideline. Buat. Jangan tak. Saya tak, kalau saya bagi semua, saat ni tak mau takut. Tak ada creativity tak. Nah. So I want to see your creativity lah.
Okay.
Apa lagi nak tanya dia sama? Nah, what else? Nah, you want to ask me? Tak tanya saya. Kalau tak ada, we move to, tak apa, Tamin tu kalau nak tanya, saya tanya lah. Okay, road transport, the first mode. Nah, the first mode kita ni, road transport, jalan. Jalan. Nah, these are the learning objective, the outcome. Nah, at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to explain on the type of road transport. On DRT, demand responsive transport, kita tengok DRT apa dia, service characteristic. Kalau kita done sampai kat service marketing ni, then we stop. Nah. So inland depot, clearance depot dan sebagainya. NKRA dulu kita ada NKRA. We identify ada 7 road. Tempat one is to improve the national urban public transport ni. Road transport, the most common. We use it daily. Naik bus, drive our own car. We cycle to our friend's home. So the most common mode. Or the lorry deliver furniture to our home, electrical goods to our home. That is a common mode of transport. The present day sekarang ni dia kata the car, bus, truck. So dah modern lah. Dulu kereta kuda. But now move by the car, by the buses, the truck, move on the pavement. Now apa ni, kita guna pavement road, ada betar dan sebagainya. Dulu during the old days tu, people they use the animal, the livestock, binatang ternakan ni apa. And they follow the animal path, unpaved muddy road. Yang animal path ni tak pave, maksud tak ditarkan. Muddy road ni macam jalan berlumpur, jalan dirt road ni, jalan bila hujan it become a muddy road dan sebagainya. It was a delayed movement dulu because of the condition of the road dan sebagainya. Long delayed and dangerous movement. Dangerous movement because we are exposed to the wild animal, the tiger lah, the tiger, the lion contoh lah. Dulu ada di Malaysia, ada harimau lah. So we are exposed to that. Even the macam poisonous snake pun we are exposed to this kind of animal ni, binatang ni. Some use the game trail untuk memburu dan sebagainya. Binatang buruan ni used by the hunter gatherer to travel by foot easier. Dia berguna laluan. Kemudian the Roman ni, orang Rome ni, they build road using the crushed stone as underlying layer sebagai asas dia ni. Crushed stone ni kita Roman road. Batu besar-besar ni lidung before they go to war, for example, they lay down this di crushed stone ni. Pergi perang nak balik, sampai tang mana nak balik rumah kita sesat. Oh, nampak jalan ni. Oh, dia kan ni akan bawa balik ke rumah kita. Dia try bila dia duduk ni, dia berkata all road lead to Rome ni. Kemudian dalam literature adalah dia kata Elita Paved Road, jalan berturak ni. Ada dah di Baghdad dalam abad ke-8, Iraq, di Iraq. Kemudian jalan betul, the turnpike, the toll road ni in England dah ada dah tahun 1656 1656. They build, they want to get back their investment, they charge the users. Those who use the service have to pay, so they can get back the investment with the profit. Dia turut di England dah ada lama lah. Tahun 1656 bukan tahun 19 berapa, tahun 16 lebih dah ada tercatat dalam buku sejarah. They build and they charge the user. Kemudian nak cerita tentang Natchez Trace pula. Natchez orang-orang laluan Natchez ni, kalau kita tengok laluan Natchez ni, laluan yang digunakan oleh orang American Indian. Laluan ni panjang 444 batu ataupun 700 km persegi daripada Natchez Mississippi tu to Nashville Tennessee. Dia punya laluan even up to the last punya tu sampai dekat mana tu New Orleans ni. New Orleans tang mana saya nampak ada New Orleans. New Orleans ni ujung lah. New Orleans dekat laut lah. Kemudian US dia preserve, dia menjaga ni, dia put in under the Act of National Trail System Act. Dia identify Natchez Trace as one of the initial 40 routes nationwide. Nationwide ni satu US lah. Throughout you have potential as national scenic trail, laluannya scenic yang nampak cantik dan sebagainya yang saat. This is Natchez Trace ni lalu boleh. Dia punya lalu kot ni balik ni. So dia guna by Indian, Kentuck satu kategori lagi, Indian yang mereka ini dan juga settlers ni daripada Europe lah, dia pun masuk mai ke US hijrah. The Kentuck will guide the boat. Okay, Kentuck punya orang ni, dia akan pergi berdagang lah. Travel daripada downriver ni to Natchez or New Orleans, daripada tempat dia punya hometown ni. So they bring all their goods, bawa semua goods dan sebagainya. The horse, the animal, the goods ni, they carry on the boat ni sampai kat New Orleans umpamanya. And New Orleans ni dah dekat muara lah. Dia pun guna masa tu there was no engine mechanical engine. They use the human powered punya ni to pedals the boat ni. Nak mengemudi road guna yang ni, ikut aliran sungai, use the water current. They use the water current. Dia buat kemudian bawa barang-barang semua sampai dekat bawah dia punya ni, they sell off. Dia penjual semua sekali barang-barang termasuk dengan boat dia sekali. Jual sekali semua. Because why they have to sell? Because nak travel back to their hometown, to travel again the current, dia punya aliran sungai is very difficult, very hard. They cannot ni. So what they did was they sold dia punya ni, dia jual dia punya boat ni, boat ni. Then they walk back yang jadi jalan macam ni. They walk back to their hometown for a 710 km. Berjalan ni. Dia kata along the way this traveler encounter all kind of hardship. Banyak jenis kesukaran dia pakai tempuh. Wherever they were battling storm, ribut Cold River, sungai yang sejuk and swamp, payah, rival traders yang pesaing jual mereka. And the trip wasn't for the faint of heart. Yang nakut tak boleh lah. Nevertheless, more than 10,000 Kentuck. Walaupun macam tu, walaupun jalan balik 700 km dia kata, lebih 10,000 Kentuck made this trip in the year 1810 alone. Dan tahun 1810 ni 10,000 Kentuck jalan kaki balik ni tu. 710 km macam dari sini sampai dekat atas lagi pada batu pahat sampai pada atas, sampai dekat Senai umpamanya. Bayangkan, tuan-tuan balik sendiri, tinggalkan boat dan sebagainya. Jadi itu. Okay, transport we can classify according as I mentioned the other day. You can You can classify according to passenger, carry human, carry manusia ni. Dan dia ada bus, taxi, paratransit, tutut, jeepney. Jeepney ni they convert from the old military jeep. US punya military jeep ni, they convert as a jeepney. Minibus dulu, we have minibus kat KL, but now no more. They are very effective minibus ni. Trishaw, umpamanya bicycle, bajak, Gojek kat Indonesia, they use for the ride handling punya cerita. Gojek bila nak introduce kat Malaysia dah patutnya user ni. Freight movement, different type of liquid product, whether humidity sensitive product, size or product. So for the freight, for the good. They use prime mover, trailer, lorry, van, Gojek dan sebagainya. Kemudian istilah paratransit. Orang dengar paratransit. Paratransit ni dia punya definition, the way they operate operational punya ni different from the negara maju, developed country dengan developing negara kurang membangun, sedang membangun. So paratransit ni in developing country, di negara Thailand, negara developing punya ni, Filipina ni, are customized vehicle from use a new vehicle for ferry passenger. Kalau kita tengok paratransit umpamanya, this is a paratransit digunakan. Dia kata in Filipina use military jeep, they use military jeep. Dulu dekat Filipina tu dia ada military base lah. Dia ada 2 kot military bases ni dekat Filipina. Then they have to close because the Philippines punya government they didn't agree on the air station. So they close, and normally jeep ni dia tak bawa balik, dia jual ataupun dia bagi dekat penduduk setempat itu saja. So but the Filipinos ni they convert the jeep as the jeep ni. Motorcycle converted as 3-wheeler cycle. Then there is a paratransit in Thailand. Dekat Hat Nyai, the truck pickup dia convert as a tuk-tuk in Bangkok. Bangkok ni naik motorcycle. Sebagai samlo ni, sebagai tuk-tuk samlo, or similar with rickshaw with small engine fitted. Dia ada boleh duduk stesen 2 tapi kadang dia letak 4 orang kat situ. Dia spare punya size dia. Naik dia naik. Okay, dia charge kita apa ni. But they are very efficient corner senang ni. In Africa, paratransit services are defined as informal transportation which operate between the public and individual private sphere. Ni di Afrika, maksud dia yang ni informal transportation which operate between public and individual. Macam si sapu di Malaysia. Dia ada kereta, dia bawa sendiri dan kadang-kadang dia bawa penumpang. Dia nak extra, nak dapat pendapatan lebih, dia bawa penumpang. Especially dekat dulu kampung-kampung banyaklah yang ni. Kalau tuan-tuan daripada duduk di Kok Diang umpamanya nak pergi ke Sanglang, bas tak ada. Okay, you have to use this type of services. Contoh, transit in Philippines, jeepney, tricycle, pedicab, AUV, multicab, apa sebagainya. Tengok contoh yang nak baca lah yang ni. Pedicab is a bicycle with a sidecar. Tu yang saya kata. Dan di US dia lain. In the developed country, US for example, paratransit ni it's a transportation with that supplement. Supplement ni maksud dia supplement larger public transport system by providing individuals right without fixed routes or timetable. Maksud dia the company ni, in addition to existing bus tu, they have to have the paratransit. Dia punya kereta ke, dia punya truck yang ni, just to cater for another segment of the passenger. Those who are disabled, the old people dan sebagainya, they rely on the paratransit services. Dia kata, you right without fixed route or timetable. Kalau bas biasa ni dia ada pukul 10 tolak ke 12 ke 11 tolak dan sebagainya. But yang ni you just call, you make a booking on the service, they will come and pick you. Yang tu beza dia. Paratransit people, they provide for people with disability who are unable to use regular fixed route transit service that serve the region. Maksud dia those who are disabled ni, yang apa rely on the wheelchair, yang tak ada kaki, yang mata buta, yang tekak telinga dan sebagainya, they can use that. Paratransit provide door-to-door service for people who call to reserve. Maksud dia to use, then you have to call, make appointment. Bukan government ni lah, yang ni another operator, katalah syarikat apa bus tu, they have another service for the paratransit service. Dia kata paratransit door to door ni, pintu ke pintu ni. Ambil kat apa ni, they pick up you at your home, the doors ni, and send you to hospital ke, to the apa, satu lagi tu shopping complex dan sebagainya. Dia kata paratransit is a civil right, hak umum, hak am. Maksudnya you cannot discriminate those days. So that's why the government of US said, okay, if state mereka ada mereka punya ni lah, mereka punya setiap state tu kalau buka Kansas, ada juga, ada negeri lain dia ada dia punya own paratransit. So yang ni dia apa? Dia ada American Disability Act where you cannot discriminate this type of people ni. Tak boleh nak anggap dia macam orang biasa saja. You have to treat them as a normal person. Daripada America of Disability. That's why, okay, ada yang ni, you tak boleh kata, oh, you are disabled, you have to use the bus macam biasa juga. No, you have to provide because they are also entitled for that kind of service. Tuan-tuan boleh baca dalam ni, dia punya ni lah. I get it. Yang ni dekat pernah saya tak ingat kata, saya ambil. Kemudian demand responsive transport, macam taxi ya. Demand responsive transport ni, demand responsive transport. It's like a taxi ya. Macam taxi lah. Macam demand. Kita demand for the service. Kalaulah yang bas ikut laluan tu, dia ada penumpang kan, tak ada penumpang kan, dia akan lalu saja. That is a supply punya ni, responsive transport. Supply based transport, supply. But this is more on the demand. You make an order, you demand for for a service, they come and pick you. Demand responsive transit, demand responsive service, style a right transit sama benda ni. Normally they will call and they will book for service. Kemudian ambil lah dia. Operate by company contracted by government or local NGO, sometimes with subsidized fare. Sometimes mereka dapat harga murah ni. Government normally they give you half ke dan sebagainya. Dulu seperti saya buat taksi dekat Australia tu, kadang ada 2-3 kali dapat call, makcik-makcik tua-tua ni dia masuk dalam ni, dia duduk rumah orang tua-tua, tapi orang tua-tua berbeza daripada kita. They have their own punya room, own punya house, dia punya separate from the other people. Macam kita macam dorm dia duduk sekali. Yang ni duduk ni, they have to pay lah, budget mahal je lah. So hujung minggu dia akan book for the transportation. Pergi ambil dia. Mereka ni pula akan sebut, my dear, how are you? My sweetheart. Mereka orang tua-tua tapi dia cakap secara ni. So, apa orang tua-tua dia kata sweetheart. That is the way of dia punya communication dia. Normal. How are you, my dear? How are you, my sweetheart? Okay. Can you take me to this shopping complex? Bawa lah dia. And then bila habis tu dia akan bagi kad, kita akan masuk dalam sistem apa tu. Dia punya fare dia memang very minimum punya ni. Kemudian boleh juga public transport shared by general public. Ini dah bagi tahu lah public transport, private transport punya ni. Transport is a service perkhidmatan. It does not result you on ownership of that vehicle ni. Kalau kita naik bus umpamanya, we just use the service not we cannot get that at the end of the journey dapat bus tu. It's just a service. Naik kapal terbang, pergi KLIA, sampai KLIA tu, just habis, tak ada apa. The only one that we have is our ticket. Tiket tu pun law ni kita beri sendiri. We have nothing. Have nothing. Kita tak ada apa. Macam Whitney Houston apa. Product and service differ. Product bagi saya tunjuk. This is the last one kot, jangan. Ni kita stop lah, saya perlu lenguh. Tadi pun dah 2 jam ni pun lenguh. Pukul 3 baru. Sana. Okey, servis. Servis. Dia contoh dia dalam ni dia bagi tin sardin. Tin sardin nak bagi dengan perkhidmatan, nak you to compare with the servis ni, we use katalah Malaysia Airlines punya servis ke, atau pancaran matahari bas servis ke, ataupun we send our container ke, we utilize transportation provider punya services ke yang ni. So dia berbeza produk dengan servis interchangeability. Maksudnya kita servis ni you have to use it before you make evaluation on the product. Kita kadang-kadang kita nak naik bas, kita tak tahu kita nak apa flight we do not know until we use that service. Kalau macam kita nak beli grocery ni, kita boleh tengok, sentuh, rasa, kita tengok, beli baju, tengok, rasa, then we buy. But servis ni kita beli, katalah hari ni naik petang ni pukul 4, naik kapal terbang, kita naik. Naik, kita tahu, kapal terbang servis dia macam mana pun, stewardess dia senyum, tak senyum apa dan sebagainya. So dia kata yang ni interchangeability, something you cannot see until you use that service. Unlike the physical product, rusi ke, bag ke, pakaian ke, apa ke, the potential buyer can see whole task, smell and before you buy. Before you buy. Not on the service. So nak mengurangkan, kadang-kadang kita guna nak mengurangkan dia punya expectation tu. Takut-takut dia ni kita expect higher service. Takut-takut dia bagi kita bad service. What we normally do is we ask our friend, bas pancaran matahari okey tak? Kawan kita kata, bas dia seat dia okey, seat dia lembut, duduk 5 minit jalan tidur lah dia kata. Kalau naik bas ni pancaran suria pula, pancaran matahari, pancaran suria, seat dia keras. Duduk tu kalau kita tak tidur malam tu, tak boleh tidur lah dalam tu. Dia kata sampai perjalanan pun tak tidur lagi. Sebab seat keras, dia kata, contoh. So normally kita akan tanya kawan kita. Kita akan tanya ataupun we read from the newspaper ke, ataupun through word of mouth. Dia kata jangan naik lah pancaran bulan umpamanya, dia kata. Sebab yang ni aircon dia sejuk sangat. Kita tak pakai baju sejuk, kita tak boleh ni, kata. Kita nak nyawa pun tak boleh. Macam ada ais dalam hidung, kata. Contoh. Perishability. The service is developed and used simultaneously. Yang ni kita kata transport cannot be stored ni. The unsold seat ni kita tak boleh kata we keep for tomorrow punya apa ni jualan. No, it travel together. Perishable. It has specific time to sell, dia kata ni, before the departure date. Inseparability, the service cannot be separated by service provider. When we travel, we travel with the driver umpamanya. The conductor mungkin ada kalau ni. So travel. Naik pilot ada, stewardess pun ada. Ada driver, kecuali lah naik LRT the driverless tu. Yang 29 km tu tak ada driver. But they still monitor from dia punya control tower dekat Subang Jaya tu. Heterogeneity, difficult to make service identical. Maksudnya kita nak maintain the same service quite difficult. Tapi mula-mula beli tiket, we buy tiket over the counter, they give you as a very big smile, senyum, ramah, very courteous punya servis dan sebagainya. Sonok lah kita, esok kita pergi beli lain. Beli dengan tak mau layan, dengan muka masam. So tak boleh. Kalau robot tak apa. Dia macam tu beli TVM hari ni macam ni, esok pun tu. Jangan rosak But not on human because they have different personality, mood, attitude, behavior, service provider dan sebagainya. Hari tu kita beli tiket harga RM15 bagi 50. Dia tak kata apa-apa, dia senyum, tanya nak pergi mana, berapa hari. Kali ni kita bagi duit 50, beli tiket RM15 ya. Dia kata, tak ada duit kecil lah. Dengan marah kita lagi, habis teruk lah orang macam ni dia dah. Semua bagi duit besar-besar. Itu dia kata, difficult to make service identical. Ini like ownership. Kita beli servis, kita guna, we not buy that apa ni. Does not result us of owning aircraft dan sebagainya. We just have dapat last tu dapat tiket tu ya. Tu pun kalau naik kapal terbang, tiket pun kita print sendiri. The boarding pass pun kita print sendiri. Dulu dapat juga boarding pass yang dia print. Tiket pun dia issue us with the tiket yang lain. Oh, kita nampak tiket dan sebagainya. Tak buang-buang, 2-3 tahun kita tak buang. Sebab, nak naik kapal terbang bukan susah. Bukan senang lah. Susah. So, kita simpan. Even yang dia ikat dekat beg kita pun, dah naik kapal terbang 3-4 tahun, kita tak buang. Dia punya yang ikat kat beg. Kita bawa lah mana-mana dengan ikat tu. Apa? Beg kita, ikut suka kita. Biarlah apa orang nak kata. Service marketing, ni tuan-tuan baca ni lah. Product price difference, tengok kita masuk lah. Lebih lah. Ni kemudian lah. Kemudian. Aduh, ada soalan apa? Sebelum kita stop. Ada soalan apa? Soalan. Before we stop. Is there any question? Ada soalan? Soalan ada soalan? Law ni dia bukan sebut soalan, dia sebut soalan. Ya kan? Soalan. Ada soalan tak? Ada berapa orang lah? Ada orang lah. Ada berapa orang lah ini yang apa? Yang ada dalam kelas. Kita ada 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 25. Kita ada 29. 29 orang hari ini dalam kelas kita. Good. Mana dia ni? Saya pun jahat. Duduk ke mana? Ke mana? Ada soalannya mana? Okey, Muhammad Badrul Amin. Saya panggil sekali lagi. Muhammad Amirul Amin. Ada tak Muhammad Amirul? Grup, jangan grup. Okey tak grup? Muhammad Badrul Amin ni. Muhammad Badrul Amin. Sebab itu, Badrul Amin ada tak? Badrul. Sebab saya terpaksa sepatut saya nak buat grup 3 orang ya. Kemudian saya tengok Muhammad Badrul Amin dengan siapa seorang lagi. Saya tak ingat nama dia, nama apa. Ada seorang lagi. So that's why saya kena create satu kumpulan 4 orang. Satu grup tu. Satu grup tu ada 4 orang. Saya tengok lah. Group F. Group F topic for assignment. Group F Group F. Okey lah group F ni. Ini nampak apa kat depan ni? Nampak ni tak? Saya sharing apa? Saya sharing ni tak? Saya sharing. I want to share you see the group now. Okay, share this one. Okay, Siti Nurain Natasha ni tak bagi nama kat saya. So, I just put you in group F8. Now, we just have F9. So, saya nak create another group. Saya tinggal 2 orang yang tak bagi nama. Nurain dengan Muhammad Badrul. Saya takut Muhammad Badrul tak aktif. So, Muhammad Badrul Amin ni dah 3 semester dah. Dia register for the class. But Badrul tak attend. So, saya takut Nurain buat kerja seorang. So, that's why I put Nurain dalam grup ni. Rahman Dhani?
Yes.
I add Siti Nurain in your group dengan Nur Shifa, dengan Muhammad Amirul Azizi ni. So, please, Nurain?
Yes, doctor. I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question, doctor?
No, I just add Siti Nur Ain
Oh, okay, okay, doctor.
Natasha, into your group,
Oh, okay, okay, doctor. I'm already
so,
info. I already info to her also in the our main group to join in my group.
okay, did she respond?
Yes,
No.
doctor.
Okay, good, good, good. Muhammad Syawal. Syawal ada tak? Soleha.
Ya, itu.
Okay, Badrul ada kontak tak?
Tak. Tu,
Tak apalah nak buat macam mana. Badrul, saya nak cuba bantu dia tapi Muhammad Badrul saya ada kontak dia tak dapat. So, that's why saya terpaksa letak. Saya kan tidak saya nak letak 3 orang satu group. Tapi tak apalah, just proceed lah with the project. Nah, buatlah project ni. I give you the topic, this a simple topic. Go and check your apa ni in the website. Nak tengok what is traffic calming. Tak pernah dengar traffic calming ni. So what is traffic calming? Kalau tuan-tuan tengok HAM, apa bonggol, tuan-tuan sebut bonggol tu, that is a kind of traffic calming. Ada setengah masuk jalan dia besar semakin sempit. That is a kind of traffic calming juga. The reason of the traffic calming is to slow down the vehicle. In between apa? DKG 4, DKG 5, DKG 6. Tapi ada setengah-setengah ni yang baru semester 1, semester 2 tak tahulah. So dia ada HAM, dia ada bonggol tu. Just dia perbuat tu just to slow down the vehicle. For the safety reason. Kemudian transport safety ni, talk about the transport safety. Transport safety apa ni in general dan sebagainya. Ceritakan juga tentang accident dan sebagainya. So what government do to improve the safety punya aspect, safety on the apa ni on the car, safety on the road safety dan sebagainya. What are the causes of road accident? Boleh cerita macam-macam. Tapi saya tak nak sebut lah sebab it will limit your creativity. Jadi transport with people disability. Theo yang saya bagi tahu lah Theo tadi. First find what type, there are many type of disability. Not only on the deaf, yang tak apa dengar tu, on the blind, tak nampak tu, but there are many type. Even we, sometimes we also we have one of this kind of disability. Kemudian ni transit oriented development, new concept ni. Carilah what is a transit oriented development. Cari cuba tengok what is a transit oriented development. Kemudian road transport congestion. Biasalah road transport congestion. Macam mana pasal apa dia congestion, kesakan jalan raya ni. Apa type-type dia yang sering berlaku, yang kadang-kadang berlaku macam hujan, banjir. There is sometimes. Apa dia panggil yang tu. Carilah. Barcode RFID. Teknologi ni, barcode a simple teknologi. Kita guna dalam dalam logistik dalam dalam warehouse dan sebagainya. Kita tengok how Amazon utilize the barcode. There are many type of barcode pula tu. Barcode yang dia ada stripe hitam putih tu. Kemudian dia ada QR code pula. QR code, another code pula. So define banyak barcode explain the different types of barcode tu. RFID. And then you can compare the RFID dengan barcode lagi. Warehouse activity, there are many warehouse activity. From mula-mula sekali apa dia buat dan sebagainya, kemudian storing sampai picking sampai housekeeping sampai dia releasing dan sebagainya. Accepting good saya tahu lah apa-apa dia punya. This is the bagi the impact of COVID general punya question ni. Tak apalah cari, there are many dalam buat.
So, doctor, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
When I read in your question about our group assignment, you said my main topic is the impact of COVID-19 in transport and logistic. So, if I found like transport, the impact transport and related to another topic, so I can input it to our group assignment or not, doctor?
Your topic is transport, the impact of the COVID-19 to transport and logistic industry kan. Just maintain, but you can use that one as one of your references. So you have to identify, okay, first you just describe what is the COVID-19, what are the impact of COVID-19, first your approach. Then what are the impact of this COVID-19 to the transport logistic? Can you mention one now? Can you mention?
The slowing economic,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
slowing export and import of economic in transport and
Yeah,
logistics.
yeah, that is one of the impact. The cancellation of the flight. Most flight they have to be on grounded dan sebagainya. That is one of the impact. There are many impact actually. Economy impact, monetary impact. There are many impact. You can just I think you can have many references on this one. Because
Right.
there are many write up on this the impact of COVID on this one.
Baik, Dokter. Thank you very much for answering my.
Okay, no problem. Welcome. No, Azlin, you want to share something, no, Azlin? No, Azlin nak share apa? What you want to share, no, Azlin? No, Azlin nak share apa tu? Azlin tak boleh share apa. Ada apa lagi nak tanya saya? Before we stop, ada apa tak? Ada apa tak?
For me clear, Dokter. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Good. Ada apa tak? Tak mana ya? Stop sharing this one. Kemudian apa yang ada? This one, okay, this one. Tak nak? Ada tak soalan ni? Siapa-siapa soalan? Nak tanya soalan saya tak ada dah. Saya nak tanya Badrul Amin ada lagi? Amirul Amin. Ya, Amirul. Badrul saya ni sebab saya nak tolong dia pasal banyak semester dah. Kalau siapa boleh kontak Badrul, saya try to kontak Badrul, tak dapat. Even the last semester pun Badrul tak ni. Saya nak tahu masalah kukut ada problem lain ke, saya akan buat cara lain. Bukan saya ni. Saya bilang, ni masalah. Kalau tuan-tuan ada masalah, tuan-tuan bagi tahu saya lah. Don't keep to yourself lah. Sebab saya nak bantu bukan saya nak penalize apa. Kalau saya tak boleh nak ni masalah. Saya cuba nak contact kadang-kadang tak boleh. Tak tahu pasal apa. Ni pasal apa lah jadi macam ni. Okey, kalau tak ada apa soalan, kita boleh bersurai and we meet again bila? Next week. We meet again next week on Monday. So we will I will upload on the lecture note number 4. We will touch number 3 sebab kita nak kena accommodate raya lah apalah setelah tu ni lah. Saya nak ni sebab kita sepatutnya we already finish on the chapter 3 lah today. But we still halfway on the chapter 3. Tak apa, hopefully we can catch up. Okay, that's all. I think itu saja for this week.
Doktor boleh tak kita saya